When you get a major scandal affecting a political party such as we're having with Labour over the last week or two, you're going to get figures come out of literally every corner saying what they think, giving their opinion on what went wrong and what can be done to put it right, who has to go, who has to stay, and who they think could replace certain people, like Starmer being replaced by somebody else. And some of the stuff that comes out is absolutely kind of makes your eyes pop out on stalks, because people literally couldn't care less. They just say it as it is. I want to pull this tweet up here. It's interesting. Watch Labour peer Glassman say New Labour led to perversion and the P word. On Sky News this morning, Lord Maurice Glassman said New Labour led to perversion and the P word. That is an extraordinary line to hear from inside Labour itself. Now, I'm going to play this clip and you can hear it for yourself. You see what's going on.
It's not fascist. Labour was straight with the working class. We won the war. Ernest Bevin is a hero. So, yeah, so Labour has to, the government and the Labour Party has to repent and reject New Labour as an alien body that took over the party, and this is where it leads. Perversion and paedophilia.
Lord Glassman, that's strong stuff. Thank you very much.
Lord Glassman, that's strong stuff. Thank you very much indeed. You heard him say it. He's literally just come out and said what he said. Now, we'll cover the New Labour content in a minute. Now, who is Lord Glassman? I must admit, I've never heard of the guy till he was on the telly just said, and this is the House of Lords. This is him, Maurice Glassman, or Baron Glassman. Born 8 March 1961, is an English political theorist, academic, social commentator, and Labour life peer in the House of Lords. He is a senior lecturer in political theory at London Metropolitan University, director of its Faith and Citizenship programme, and a columnist for the New Statesman, Unheard, Tablet, and Spiked. He's best known as the founder of Blue Labour, a term he coined in 2009, and you can see highlights of his career and all that sort of thing going through there. Political opinions, here you go. Having joined the Labour Party in 1976, Glassman re-engaged with Labour politics after his mother's death in 2008. Glassman coined the term Blue Labour, defining it as a deeply conservative socialism that places family, faith and work at the heart of new politics, or reciprocity, mutuality and solidarity. Glassman describes it as a small c conservative form of socialism which advocates a return to what Glassman believes were the roots of the pre-1945 Labour Party by encouraging the political involvement of voluntary groups from trade unions through churches to football clubs. Blue Labour has argued that Labour should embrace patriotism and a return to community values based on trade unions and voluntary groups, which he claims was evident in early Labour politics, but it was lost after 1945 with the rise of the welfare state. So that's his political opinion. And as I said, you can go and read all of that online. And, you know, it's very interesting when you see that, because over my lifetime, nearly 50 years, I've said before that I come very much from a conservative background. That's how my family started. So Labour was never a bit of my upbringing. Absolutely no, not in a month of Sundays. And I'm old enough to remember a time where you had a distinct choice. Labour, which is very much for the working person, very much for social values, very much for unions, very much for solidarity and all the rest of it, which you stereotypically associate with Labour. And let's be honest, their record in general elections hadn't been that great up until a point. My family, on the other hand, was always conservative, and I'm very much of the view, purely from my upbringing, if you want something, you have to go out and get it. You have to go out and earn it. If you want to give it to somebody, you decide. You know, I believe in the family unit. I believe in self-determination. I believe in, you know, a capitalist society where you progress according to what you put in. You know, and over the years, the two sides of the coin have done this, and you literally couldn't stick a fag paper between the two. This is where you get people like me who become very anti-establishment and then look into, you know, what's really going on. And then it makes your hair stand on end. Now, he mentioned New Labour, which is a very interesting point. What is New Labour? Where did it start? What coined the term? Now, I did a very quick Google search, and if you remember, was it John Smith, the leader before Blair? He died of a heart attack before Labour won the election, if my memory is correct. Please correct me if it is not. But, you know, that, I think, was the last real Labour leader, you know, of that generation. And then we ended up with the Blair years, who they've completely and utterly destroyed what's left of this country and subverted the Constitution to boot. Now, let's have a look at some of the gory details. So we've got New Labour emerged in the 1990s as a rebranded centrist project. So you've got this thing, haven't you, where all of the voters or all of the voting activity seems to be in the centre ground. And you get a new generation of people, a new generation of politicians who believe that that's where elections are won. It's all about elections. Well, if you look at the English, there was over 30 million of us identified as English-only nationality in the 2011 census. There's probably 30 million people there disenchanted with what's going on. And if you appeal to the English, you will win an election. I can guarantee you that. And what happened? Oh, they're there. They're here. They're over there. Let's flood those areas full of British. And you look at what happened on the next. But anyway, let's diversify, right? Let's have a look. So it was led by Tony Blair and Gordon Brown to modernise the British Labour Party after 18 years of Conservative rule. Influenced by Anthony Giddens' Third Way, it shifted from traditional socialism to a market-friendly approach, famously replacing Clause 4 to abandon nationalisation commitments, which helped secure a landslide election victory in 1997. I'll never forget it. Key origins and factors shaping New Labour included political rebranding. Following 4 consecutive general election defeats between 79 and 92, the party needed to widen its appeal beyond its traditional base. So what you've got to realise here with parties is that they are changing to gain power. They're not changing to suit you. They're changing to gain power. The Third Way, influenced by sociologist Anthony Giddens, this approach sought a middle ground between Thatcherism and traditional socialism. See what I said? Coming together. So you can't split a fag paper between the two. Embracing the market economy while maintaining social justice aims. Leadership change following the death of John Smith. Yeah, there we go. Tony Blair became leader in 94, using the New Labour label at the party conference to signal a clean break from the past. Key policy shifts: abolished Clause 4, the commitment to public ownership, loosened ties with trade unions, and embraced pro-enterprise policies to win over middle class and swing voters. Prawn cocktail offensive: the leadership actively courted the City of London and business leaders to prove financial competence. Modernisation efforts, building on changes started by Neil Kinnock. The project emphasised a more moderate image, media savvy campaigning led by figures like Peter Mandelson, and a pro-European stance. Pro-European, I mean, that right at the end there says everything about this project. It says everything you really need to know about what New Labour has done. You need a distinct divide between the two sides of the apple cart. Otherwise, you don't know what you've got. And that is the issue we have now. And you end up with two sides just fighting for power and influence all the time. This is why I believe the party system, as we've known it, is not fit for purpose. And we need to go back to our constitutional roots, which work just fine. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, share my stuff. I'll talk to you soon. Toodaloo.